What's up, guys? Today we're taking a look at the counterpart to Vicor. We have got the Masters of the Universe Classics Demo Man figure from Mattel. Alright, so here's Demo Man, and if you're not familiar with this guy, don't beat yourself up. He is pretty much an unknown outside of the actual Motu collecting community, and if you're a Motu collector, you probably do know who he is, but for everybody else, I'm going to do a quick history lesson. So, like I said, this is the counterpart to Vicor. And Vicor was the was the main kind of concept sketch for what would become He-Man back in the 80s. Demo Man is the same thing, but for Skeletor. And as you can see, this is the here's the concept art versus the figure. So what Motu Classics are trying to do here is make this design into a figure, and I think they did it pretty well. This is a standard Motu Classics figure. He does have a few new things about him, at least at the time when this figure came out. And he's got a cool look. My main gripe is kind of one to the sculpt and then one to the paint, because I don't particularly like the color. I think he is way too bright. He's incredibly bright. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but I kind of feel like, based on the look of this guy, he should look more dingy and, just more dirty. But we'll get to that in a minute. So let's go over the articulation first, because, that's the easy part. It's standard Motu Classics. So we've got a head on a ball. It can go all over. Can't really go up or down because of the armor and because of this humongous beard. Arms go out. Bicep swivel. They go all around. And then we've got our wrist rotation. We do have an ab crunch. He's not going to go over too far, though. You might pop his armor off in the process, like I almost did. He does have a waist twist. Legs go out. You can pretty much get him to do the splits. Got a swivel on that same joint. They go out a decent ways, but that plastic loincloth is going to get in the way, and back a fair bit. Single jointed knee. No shin or boot cut of any kind. He does have a ankle joint with a hinge. Mine are kind of tight at this point. They came tight, but they've stayed that way. Not really any rocker, and these do not have the pins showing, because this was kind of that was the thing at this point in time in the line. So now, as far as the overall sculpt, I think the guy looks pretty cool. There are a few nitpicky things that I have to talk about. One is this armor, because it's really flimsy. It can come off like any other Motu armor, really. Take the head off, it'll pop right off his shoulder pads here, but you can see they're just flipping and flopping all over the place. And then there's this little thing here. So if you noticed in the concept art that I put on the screen, there is a little bit, and I'll show here again, there is a little bit of like what looks like hair sticking out of the armor, and that was part of the sketch. So what they did was they tried to sculpt that in here. I assume that's what it's supposed to be, and I guess that's what they're going for, but it looks odd. Like, that looks out of place to me. I don't like it. It's part of the armor too. It's not on the actual figure, so it's on the armor. You could, if you took the armor off, the problem is gone. Now beyond that, I like the armor that they've got on his elbow joint here. I think that's really cool. It's nothing real special, but I think it breaks up and makes him asymmetrical, which I think is kind of cool. He's got these spiky gauntlets, which are nice. And then I love the head, though. That's the big main draw for me, is the head. He's got that long beard. It's kind of flimsy. Got a little bit of pliability to it, not much, and he's got that bone in there. He's got the sculpted teeth, the recessed eyes. He's got this kind of, I don't know, tiara type thing. And then he's got these bony spines coming out of his head, which I think are really cool. He's also got what I believe, at least for the time, are new hands and new feet for the line, because they've got these sculpted toenails and fingernails, which I don't think existed at this point. So those look nice. He's got removable, it's not armor, it's just a shirt. So this shirt can pop off. So you could have him bare-chested if you wanted, without the armor and without the shirt. And then he's got this ragged loincloth. Now, as far as paint goes, where he's got it, it's pretty good. The beard obviously has a wash in it to make it look darker. We've got painted teeth, painted eyes, the tiara is painted, the bone accents here are painted, the gauntlets are painted, the armor is painted. So that's nice. The figure itself has a lot of shading on it too, in a darker green. So he's not just, neon green the entire way through. He does have a lot of shading to break up and show that musculature. I just don't like the overall molded plastic color. I think it should have been a little bit darker. Does it really take away from the figure? Not really, but he looks a little too bright to me to be, what is essentially the original Skeletor. I think he should have been. I just think he should be darker. You know, I guess that's it. That's ultimately what it is. I think he should have been a little darker. All right, now as far as accessories goes, this guy has 4. We're going to talk about his 2 weapon accessories first, and then we'll talk about the others. So as you can see right here, we have got a sword and a flail mace type weapon. So these are right out of that concept art, and you can see on this guy here, it's got kind of a like a lizard dinosaur head on the hilt there, which is pretty cool. It's all silver painted, and then the blade itself has kind of a copper overtone to it, which kind of brings out makes it look old. Looks like it came out of a battlefield or something. And then it's got a lot of wear and tear and like etchings into it. So it looks really old. It looks like it belongs with something that looks like some sort of ancient evil like Demo Man is. And then he's got a flail or a mace that really goes along with it. Same type of situation. A lot of wear and tear on it. A lot of scratches and dings and dents. So I like these 2 weapons, and I think they fit the character very well. And they even kind of match his armor a bit. Now, the other accessories he comes with, the first of which is this head here. So this is straight out of that concept art as well. And it kind of sits on the ground with the character in the artwork. And so I think they just included it just as a nod to that. I don't really think it was necessary, but it's cool that it was included. It doesn't sit on my shelf, but you know, it's nice to have been included. And you can put it on a figure because it has a ball socket on it, if you're so inclined. Painted pretty well, got a nice sculpt to it, but other than that, there's not really a whole lot to talk about there. The main attraction for me with this entire figure, though, is the last accessory. This guy. So the bonus accessory for this character is an Alcala style Skeletor head. So this is straight out of the mini comics. And boy, this looks amazing. This head is the definitive Skeletor head for me. I know, you know, I've said that I grew up with the cartoon and I love cartoon Skeletor, but this head is amazing. It just looks far more demonic. You can almost see a bit of inspiration here. This looks more like Demo Man than the actual Skeletor we got in other toys in this line. So this is really cool, painted really well. Those jagged teeth, the green and yellow hues all over, the deep recessed red eyes, and then of course the hood. So this head almost makes the whole figure for me. All right, now overall, this figure isn't exactly on my top list of Motu Classics figures, but he's all right. I love the idea behind him and the fact that this guy was made into a figure. That's really cool to me. I don't like the floppy armor. It's not a huge deal. It just sort of bugs me for some reason. And I don't like that little thing sticking out of the back. That really bugs me because I think it's goofy and it shouldn't have been included on this figure. It's fine on the concept sketch, but it should not be on the toy. And then I think he's still too bright. So those are my gripes. Now, the inclusion of the Alcala Skeletor head is a humongous win for this figure, though, because that head is amazing and is the best head for Skeletor that we could possibly get in this line as far as I'm concerned. So that, to me, makes up for some of the shortcomings of this figure. They could have just sold this head individually and I would have been just fine. So, he's a solid figure, not great. If I had to rank the 2, I would say Vicor is the better concept style figure than Demo Man, but that's just my personal preference. So, that's going to do it for this one, everyone. As always, stay tuned for more reviews. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Let me know what you think of this guide. Who do you like better, Vicor or Demo Man? So, until next time.